Hello, hello, hello. Okay, before I talk about actually bringing these renders you're going to do in ZBrush into Photoshop, I want to explain something about lighting in ZBrush. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but it probably blew right by you. So I've kind of got an old version of my fish here, and I'm going to fill it with a basic material, okay, which comes from down here under Standard Materials. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and nothing happened because this has already been filled with something. So I'm going to make sure this is on M, and we're going to color fill object. Okay, and you'll see that that filled it with this brighter material. Okay, and if I render this, it's going to look pretty much like this. Get some shadows and things like that, but other than that, not too different. Okay, those dark shadows, we talked about fixing those earlier, and I'll cover that again as well in the next video. Okay, so what if I want to change the lighting on this? Well, you go to the light menu here, and these little guys are light switches. Okay, so I can turn these off or on. If I click on it once, again, it's really hard to see on screen, I'm sure. There's a little gray line around it. That means this is the actual light that I would be editing right now. And I can drag this around, okay, to change where the light is. And you can see it reflected even before I render it, okay. Now if I click this again, it's going to turn that light off. Okay, it's still in position, it's just off. And this is actually how you should actually position lights because it's easier to see what you're doing. Okay, this one now is up here. This is my first basic light. Okay, so if I pull that over this way, you'll see the light is coming from the left, like you would expect. Okay, and if I turn this one back on, okay, beep, like so, I can change the color of that. So I'll give it a yellow hue like that. Okay, and I can add another light by clicking this. Okay, that adds the light, and then clicking it on again will turn it on. And then I am actually affecting it when I change something, like, let's just make this really garish. Okay. If I crank up the intensity, you will see this. Okay, that's a bit much, but maybe that's what you want. I don't know. Normally this is set quite low, okay, as a default in ZBrush. Now if you click on the dot in here once, okay, that's going to push that light to the back. Okay, so when you're moving it around, it's actually on the back of the sphere rather than in front of it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so if I just click on this again, pink, that's going to bring it to the front. In theory, I get it. Can't tell. It's got it sitting right in the middle, so it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, it's definitely in front now. Okay, you can kind of see that. Okay, so that is your basic, light. Now, if I take this material, okay, and change it to a matte cap material, that's a different beast entirely. Matte caps have their lighting baked in, okay? So if I change this to matte cap gray, nothing happened yet because I need to fill the object with it. Oop, like so. All these colors, all these lights are still on, but nothing's happening here. Okay, that's because this is not affected by these lights. Okay, again, just to make things crazy and difficult for you, that's how this works. However, you can create a light cap, which is in the light menu right here, light cap, and you go down to click new light like this. These are actually quite a bit more flexible than that little dragging things around up there. Okay, it gives you a basic light here, very low strength. I'll crank that up a bit so you can at least see what's happening here. Now because that is a matte cap, the light cap affects it, okay? And you'll see this is quite a bit different in terms of the kind of light you get. You can control the shadows on this, the color. This aperture is the spread of the light. Okay, so if I crank this up to about, I think the max is 180, it really blows it out. Just a little bit less will bring it down quite a bit. So you want to avoid 180. 179 is probably okay, 180 is a lot. Although if you want just a flood of light on something, you can crank that up and then turn the strength way down then you will start to get kind of an overall, almost what we would call an ambient light. Okay, honest, there it goes. Okay, ambient lights are usually pretty gross looking because they flatten things out. So again, I would stay away from that. Turn that down to something more fashionable like that. And then the fall off, you can see in the little visual up here, kind of focuses the light a bit more and creates more of a soft edge to it. Okay, but then you lose some of the shadows, so you would need to crank up the strength to accommodate a little bit more of that pushing out the other way. Okay, exposure is a multiplier of this, so if you want this twice as bright, just change this to 2, and that whole thing's going to double up accordingly. Okay, and again here, if I push this up higher and turn this fall off down, I will get more light on the surface. Okay, that fall off is really a quick radical change. Okay, all right, so lights can be very frustrating here, but if you know those two things, the main thing is know what kind of material you have. Okay, that's really going to affect it a lot, entirely. Okay, just so you're aware of that. Okay, so that's lights, basic lights, then onto the render thing, and the next time around. I'll try and keep this a little shorter. Okay.